You know, there is a main reason for that. But if we can keep the rabble-rousing ne'er-do-wells that are working for the other side out of this equation, and we can maintain and just keep plodding along, what they're not ready for, Bob, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, what they're prepared for chaos, burning cities, martial law, anything that they can bring to bear, armor and bullet-wise, they will certainly do. But what they are not prepared for is a very constant, consistent drive against these criminals. They're not prepared for the calm and the reason and the logic and the eventual jailing of these criminals. That's what they're not prepared for. True or not, Bob?
Absolutely. And I think we can do that. The ammo and the weapons are the insurance policy. We use them as a last resort to defend ourselves, and we do not allow the government to take them away from us under any law. And if they try to, we're just going to have to combat government.
Hope for the best.
As simple as that. And I don't think the military, law enforcement, really wants to commit suicide.
No.
I mean, we've got 80 million veterans, 40 million of them been in combat. They're all armed to the teeth. You got to be kidding me.
They're going to wake up one day and go, gee, I think I'm going with the winning side. Because they weren't born with a badge on. They didn't wear a gun coming into this world from their mama. They were born into this country. They were born into the system of law and the Constitution. All things righteous, mom, Chevrolet, apple pie, cars were cars, men were men, women were women. They were born Americans. They weren't born cops. They weren't born lawyers. They weren't born judges. This is what happened to them in their later years, okay? But now we're talking about standing on the side of truth and righteousness and true justice. They must stand with us. They must. Scott, thanks for your call. Why do you think they're going after the Oath Keepers? I am seeing Robbie?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to bring this up. In yesterday's paper, the Sunday edition of the Austin Un-American Statesman, I am opening the newspaper. I go to section A13, and what do I see here? A picture of Norm Olson and Ray Southwell from the Michigan militia. Well, not of the Michigan militia anymore. I guess they're up in Canada now. But these hit pieces on the militia movement done by SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, and ADL, they're all throughout the news cycles. Here's the same crap all over again. Oath Keepers, Bob Chapman, they're scared to death of these oath keepers. When I read Napolitano, head of Homeland Security, when I read that radicalization report that she came out with, what I saw there was fear. If veterans are coming back to this country in this mired mess, jobless, hopeless, defunct country, and these people with combat experience just walked out of the theater, come back to the good old US of A and go, well, what the hell was I fighting for? My home base has been stolen. It's been robbed. They're scared to death of these veterans.
And they call them terrorists. Our government calls them terrorists, and they call you and I terrorists as well, because we don't agree with them.
Well, we're radicalizers.
No, we're terrorists as far as they're concerned. And I'm surprised at as much control as they have, and they're trying to get the stupid mistakes that they made. And I can't tell you what I'm referring to because I don't want to expose it. But I have seen them make some lollapaloozas lately. I mean, they are dumb as rocks.
Well, they got the stinkers. We got the thinkers. Let's go back to the phones. We got loaded phones, guys. Mark in Texas. Hello, Mark.
May all you three's turkey be tender and moist.
Well, and my wife is trying out her brother's recipe for turkey, and I can't wait.
God bless y'all. It comes out good. Hey, John, before I get to my point on Andrew Napolitano, hey, if he wants to drive this informational car every now and then, that's fine, bro, because if he gets more people in the car, as this the thump gets louder and louder, guess who's going to be in the back seat telling them what causes flat tires? Let him get more people in the car. We'll tell him what causes flat tires.
Well, and I guess that is one way, and I considered that, but I'll tell you.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be argumentative.
No. Even if you were, that'd be okay too, Mark. But
I hear you, but that's not my nature.
Okay.
I was yelling amen so loud if you had your windows open down in Round Rock, you could probably hear me all the way up outside the Metroplex. But let me add to the things we need to consider, and there's just one point. We need to get rid of all these nonprofit think tanks and foundations, which, by the way, behind the scenes, they're authoring and writing all this legislation that our yahoos sponsor up in Congress that we have to bow to under the threat of bodily harm or incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
Let me add that to the mix.
We'll just change the law and make them illegal. That's pretty simple.
Take away their tax. Go ahead, Robbie. I'm sorry.
Let me throw in a Ron Paul argument against that. Because it is in the Constitution, it gives us the right to petition the government. And he says what you need is for politicians to say no to the lobbyists. And if more politicians said no to the lobbyists, guess what would happen to the lobbyists?
Well, how about, Robbie, how about legislation to do away with lobbying and campaign contributions?
Yeah, but
government supplies the money to run.
You've got a First Amendment issue there. Because you have a right to petition the government.
Well, and petitioning is one thing. When I think of petitioning the government, it's not for a front dummy for some corporation or some kind of agenda.
I understand this.
Yeah.
But Ron Paul made a very logical argument because someone asked him that very same question.
But, Robbie, what I was kind of leaning to, and I'm with you on the corporate interest, I understand that, and I think you're
Mark,
100%.
Hold on, I got music. Hold on. We'll be right back.
I'll make it clear.
Mark in Texas, go ahead with your comment or your question.
Still here. Robbie, what the thing is we got these yahoos in Congress, and they're like the kid that cheats on a test. They're given the responsibility to write the essay or the thesis. When the corporate interests do it from Chapter 1 to Chapter 10, that's not petitioning the government. That's submitting legislation to be adopted.
Oh, sure, I understand this, but I can guarantee you this. When lobbyists walk the halls of Congress, they walk right past Ron Paul's door.
Oh, yeah.
Because they know him as Dr. No.
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened this past week, Mary Landrieu affair.
Yeah.
I mean, you bought her vote. She had a price for her vote. I guess they all have their turn in the center there when their turn comes around, but her price for her vote was $300 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if you boil it down to the root cause, it's elected representatives who cave into the pressure of the lobbyists because they can't refuse all the goodies that go with it.
Well, whether this, the charade of left and right, as it continues, you have the left side that has their nonprofit organizations, whether it be Acorn, ADL, Heritage Foundation, I don't care. The right has the same amount of folks on their side. They're nonprofit. They're the ones authoring a lot of this legislation also, and they do it with a tax-exempt status.
As well as the ADL. What do you think would happen with the ADL if they lost her 501c3?
Well, if the Jewish lobby, look at it. I mean, it's a simple fact of life. America is run by the Jewish lobby.
That's true.
I'm sorry to take up so much time. I thought it was pertinent.
Thank you, Mark.
Guys, you take care.
I mean, that's a simple fact of life.
Well, I would invite people to go to republicbroadcasting.org, take a look at an 8-minute presentation on how Alapac and how the media has been controlled for the benefit of the Israelis with the takeover and almost complete extermination of the Palestinian people. I mean, there it is. There, you want to talk genocide? You want to talk hypocrisy? There it is. And they basically say in that piece that, hey, this is how it's done. This is what they have done. I mean, it's incredible. Lark in Texas. Hello, Lark.